to stream. Hey everybody, this is Wayman Daniels, and we're going
I
live
can't hear
now
you.
on Facebook. You can't hear me?
I can't hear
Let me
you.
see. You can't hear me. I can hear you. Check your volume. Uh, check your volume. My volume is on.
Huh? Yeah.
You hear me? Can you hear
I
me?
can't hear you, huh?
Okay, because my volume is on. Yeah, I'm on right now. I can hear you. Uh, what's going on with the back? Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Let's try. Oh my God, what's going on?
You can go out of it and then come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out of it and come back. I'm gonna add you back in and see what happens. Okay. All right. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Right.
Can you hear? My mic is muted. Okay, got. Okay, he went out again. Shawn, it showed your mic was muted, and I just sent you another invite. Unlock your mic. Okay, so I just sent you another invite. See if you can come back in, and we'll see what happens now. Because my mic is live now, and I'm on now. So once you click the link, and we'll see if it gets better. Okay. Hello, everybody. We're still waiting for our guest to come in. This is Wayman Daniels with Level Up. Give us a little bit of time. Give us about 2 more minutes, and hopefully we'll have our guest on, Shawn Herring. Very special guest, a very nice guy. Has a great story that you would love to hear that will inspire and encourage you. Here he is now. Let's see if we can get it together, people. Let's see. Let's see. Mr. Herring, can you hear me? Hey, Mr. Herring. Now, it's good to have you on the show. Welcome to Level Up. How is your weekend going
What
so
happened?
far? It's going real good.
I can't hear you no more.
Oh, you know why? You know what happened? You were on my speakerphone.
Right?
Let me call you back. You know you were on my phone. We're gonna do it that way. So, okay? Because
I can't hear you.
You say your thing is muted, but it's not.
Okay, y'all, you guys just hold on. We're gonna get him back. Hey man, so we're gonna do it this way, but they can hear you, but you can't hear me. It's okay. All right. So how's your weekend going, Shawn? Hey Shawn, are you talking to me on your phone or through your computer? Oh, that's what the problem is because you just froze on the computer screen. So no. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can do it that way. I don't understand why we're having technical difficulty here with hearing me because let me see. Okay, well, let's see what happens now, Shawn. Okay. All right. Now we got a triple screen. Are you there? Okay. Where are you? Now that's the one I need to see. So now, can you please tell me about your weekend? So
I've
so
been in prison for so long. I mean, it's great.
so far so
Yeah,
good. I heard you
it's so far so
mention
good.
I heard you mention that you and your girlfriend having a good time this weekend. Now let's talk
Yeah.
about. Tell me a little bit about Shawn Herring, your upbringing. Just a brief description about Shawn Herring, and then we can go into the cusp of why we have you on Level Up this afternoon or this evening.
All right. Well, I came from a two-parent household. You know, mother and a father. You know, my father, he was present. You know, did the things he had to do to provide for the family. But we also lived in a very crime-ridden neighborhood. And I'm saying, let me correct that. It wasn't really crime-ridden. It was divided. It was like middle class and lower class together. So me, I got caught up into a lot of lower class activities, selling drugs, being in the streets and things like that.
So you're telling me what I'm hearing you say that you became a product of your environment, not in the house, but outside of the house.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to product of the environment, I got like this thing about it, right?
Okay.
You know, I feel like being in an environment doesn't necessarily make you a product of it. You know, I think that you turn yourself into a product of the environment, because there's so many people that come from the same type of background and that choose different routes. I
Okay.
chose to do what I did just because that's what I wanted to do.
And what made you want to do that? What influenced you to pick that type of lifestyle?
I guess it was a need of wanting to be, accepted by my peers, I guess. I feel like, through being wanting to be accepted by my peers, I tried to do everything I could to fit into that crowd. And that's kind of where my life turned out to that.
Now, Mr. Herring, I'm not saying you're dealing with this now, but it sounds like to me at that particular what age were you when this was all going on? First, before I even get into the question.
Well, when I first got into the lifestyle of crime, I'm probably like 13, 14 years old around that time.
13. So were you say you were looking for acceptance and peer pressure. So at 13, were you looking for a role model or looking for it in the wrong way?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I definitely was looking for a role model, somebody that I could look up to. And I chose to take that on through the streets, instead of, accepting my role models from other places. I went to the streets to look for them.
Well, tell me, what did the streets role model look like, and what was the appeal?
Jewelry, cars, women, just respect. I felt like all of those things were things that I wanted at that time. I didn't like I didn't want to feel like out of this whole realm of life at the time, because it was like a very big thing, the street life at that time. It was looked at through music, looked at through movies. All of these things were like kind of like embracing the street lifestyle, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Okay, so it was the lifestyle. So basically, what I'm hearing at 13, at 13 you were talking about women, drugs, and the cars. At 13, what kind of car could you buy at 13? But you knew you wanted one, right?
Yeah, I know I wanted one. I'm saying I'm finished for stealing them to get them. So I definitely wanted one.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so at 13 you were selling drugs, and correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like to me you said if you can steal them, you want one, or were you taking cars?
Yeah, I was taking cars at that time too. I was also stealing vehicles at that time, and it's crazy because I often talk about that with my girl now. I mean, like, after buying my first vehicle myself, I think to myself, like, I would feel very upset with someone if they just stole my property and walked away. Like I didn't pay my hard-earned money for it. Right. Now I understand how it feels. The damage that I probably was causing to people at that time, I can really understand it at this moment.
So at 13, you were still in motor vehicles. And what happened after 13? Did you progress to more higher type crimes, or did you just steal vehicles?
Nah, so at the time, I was also a part of a little gang that was around at the time, a little gang called SRT. So we like kind of came together and we would we would assault people.
Okay.
We were all trying to sell drugs and commit robberies and things like that, and the crime just escalated from time as time went on.
Okay, so when you were doing these crimes, the reason we're talking about your past and where you come from, because we're trying to encourage others and let them know where people come from or where we come from, because I'm a part of that
Yeah,
group as well, and let them know that they can succeed. So when you were doing these crimes, did it make you have a sense of power?
yeah, it did. It actually did. It made me have a sense of power, and I felt like through committing these crimes, I would get respect from my peers,
From
and that right there is what really, kind of like guided me throughout the years of continuing to go down the path of crime because I
okay,
felt like it was giving me the respect that I needed.
okay, okay, Shawn. So okay, your peers were giving you respect. Did your parents ever find out that you were doing antisocial behavior?
Yeah, yeah, they did.
And how did that
And
make you feel?
how did it make me feel?
Yeah.
At the time, I was a selfish young kid, so I didn't really feel no kind of way about it.
Okay.
I felt like they were like obstacles in my way of trying to prevent me from doing what I wanted to do. I didn't look at them as my guidance. As someone that loved me. I didn't look at them like that. I
Okay.
saw them as just obstacles in my way of trying to prevent me from committing more crime and doing, more of the wrong things. So
Okay.
it was a very dysfunctional relationship at that time.
So as we digress and talk about your past, so what happened after the carjackings, the drug selling? Where did you go after that? What happened at 13? So at 15, what's going on at 15?
So at 15, I'm kicked out of junior high school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on probation. I've served time in the Division for Youth at the time. I had 18 months for a robbery that I had committed.
Okay.
And my life was just spiraling out of control at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a pinnacle of my life, the way I felt like I knew everything, nobody couldn't tell me nothing, and I just was going to do my own thing. And
Okay.
I thought a life of crime would be my life forever.
Okay, now you said you did 18 months in juvie?
Yeah, I did 18
All
months
right.
in juvenile. Yes.
So let's talk about that because that should have been a watershed moment for you. At 15, you're no longer at home with your parents. So when you go into juvie and you find yourself there, what's going through your mind then?
When I'm in juvie, I'm thinking to myself, this is a very crazy environment.
Mm-hmm.
My first juvenile detention center that I went to was a place called Goshen, outside of Westfall, the detention center. When they sent me from Westfall, they sent me to a place called Goshen.
Okay.
It was mostly for young kids that had been arrested for murders, serious crimes. So being in that type of environment, was very it was scary.
Okay.
It was a scary environment, But at the same time, it placed me in a mindset that I had to survive that. So it made me a little bit more inclined to be violent at that time. So
okay. So you went there and done 18 months. I'm fixing something as we're talking. Don't mind me. So when you're doing the 18 months and you came home, Shawn, what happened then? Because after 18 months, you're almost 17. You were like 16 and a half. So what happened when you came home at 17?
So when I came home at 16. Actually, 16? I was about like a month shy of turning 17.
Okay.
So when I came home, it was like I never left.
Oh, really?
That's how it felt to me. Like I never left because as soon as I came back to the same people, the same environment.
Okay.
And it was like I never had left. So as soon as I came back, one of my friends came in and picked me up. And the same day that he picked me up, he gave me a gun. And
really?
From that point right there, it was like I was back into the streets like I never left.
Okay.
I dropped out of school and I just started doing my own thing.
So, Shawn, here's a question because you mentioned that when you came back out, your friends showed up. How many friends showed up when you were in juvie for the 18 months?
About like 4 of them.
4 of them?
But four of my friends that came that would support me throughout that time. They would come with my mother on the visits and things like that. Okay. So that's another thing that I was kind of like blinded by this ideal. Like I said, through things that I was doing, I felt like I was garnering certain kind of respect throughout my neighborhood. And through that respect, people would show me some kind of love that I thought that was healthy love. And I didn't realize that it was destructive love.
Right, right.
It's it might be it's a difference between healthy love and destructive love. A lot of time we in the street, we don't realize that, you know, the love that we receiving from our peers, from the women out there, from whatever, is destructive love. You know what I'm saying? They promote us to do the wrong thing.
Right.
So, you know, so even though I was getting these visits from these friends, you know, these friends wasn't necessarily, you know, there to support me. They were there to help me, drag me further down. I'm saying with these ideology promoting that what I was doing was right.
Right.
So it kind of was damaging at the same time that they even came to see me, because I kind of wish that may never have happened, and maybe it would have helped me take a better stance from the onset of, you know, hanging with them once I was released.
Well, Shawn, I want to go here because you said your mother came with a couple friends of yours, and when my Duke came, what was the conversation like when it was like talking to your mother? What was that conversation like?
Talking to my mother, well, my mother, she never really looked at me like I looked at myself. You know, my mother saw me as a good child, someone that had a lot of potential, and she will always talk to me from a loving perspective, you know, from a perspective of a mother that, you know, didn't want to see her son going down that type of path.
Okay.
You know, so our conversation was always towards me doing better.
Okay.
You know, she wanted to see me doing better, you know, seeing me doing better as a child and as a growing adult, you know.
Okay. Well, Shawn, here's a question for you. Because I remember when I went upstate and I would talk to my moms. After that visit, I would sit back and reflect on everything she taught me. And I felt kind of shame that she saw me in that predicament, you know, and the stuff she had to go through to come to the visiting room to see me. How did that make you feel? To my dude, her love never ends, and look where I'm at now. I know that had to play some type of part on your psyche because I know you had to at some point be like, wow, man, how did I get here? And how can I disappoint my dude and still give into this false love of the streets and my friends?
Yeah, so, you know, I ain't got no choice but to be honest here. You know, when I was younger, especially, you know, it was kind of like hard for me to decipher that my mom really loved me. I couldn't, like I say, I saw it more as an obstacle in my way than I saw it as someone that loved me.
Okay.
You know, because she was against the thing that I was doing, and what I was doing, I particularly liked it at that time. I wanted to do those things. So she was more so of an obstacle. So me and her kind of like bump heads a lot.
Right.
And, you know, it wasn't until years later that I started to appreciate what she would bring into the table.
Okay. So years later, so now you're 16 going on 17, your friends come visit you and they give you a gun. What happened next?
Well, from that point right there, you know, when I came home, I was enrolled into school. I took myself out of school, and I was gonna just say, yo, no school, no working, no none of that. But I was also on felony probation at the time.
Okay.
So my probation officer told me that I had to get back into school. So what I did was I enrolled into GED classes, but I had no intentions of getting my GED. I looked at it more so as a way to get out of school early, because at that time they were releasing us like around like 12:30. We would go in the morning, leave at 12:30. So it gave me more time to run around the streets with my friends. So at that time, I decided that I was just gonna get back into the street life full-fledged, and I started committing robberies again.
Okay, so now you're doing. Are these are strong arm robberies with the weapon?
Robberies with a weapon.
Okay, so you start doing the robberies. So how long did that persist on you doing the robberies without getting caught?
Well, I didn't stay home that long. I came home from the division from youth for about like 2 months at tops. And my career was ended short, which I'm thankful that it was.
Okay.
I feel like that prevented a lot of more damage that could have been caused in a lot of years of my life. So so I went in fairly short after that. Probably like 2 months after I came home from division for youth, I started committing crime again, and I was back in jail within 60 days of being home.
So when you went back to jail after 2 short months, how long were you in jail now?
So at this time, I'm arrested for 3 robberies and criminal possession of a weapon.
Okay.
And I'm facing sentencing, I believe my max was 75 years at that time.
75. And, wow.
Yeah, 75 years.
Okay.
So now my lawyer, I got a paid lawyer at the time named David Morenzi. He got me a deal for like 7 years, I believe.
Okay.
At the time.
Okay.
But before I could take the 7 years, I was recharged with another crime. I was recharged with murder and robbery.
Okay.
And that was taken off of the table.
Okay.
And I proceeded on with the new case, and I eventually ended up getting 20 to life.
You got 20 years in the state penitentiary. So now we went from juvie to state penitentiary. Now what your mindset is like walking down that corridor and looking up at those tears. Tell me, what were you thinking then?
Oh, man. Yo, the feeling that I felt, man, I can still feel that feeling that I felt when I first walked into that, penitentiary as a 17-year-old man. It was terrifying.
Right,
it was terrifying. I didn't know how I was going to make it through that experience.
Right.
I had no idea. It was so foreign to me. I couldn't wrap my head around being there that long. It took me years before I even registered in my mind that I was going to be there for 20 years.
20 years.
At minimum.
Man, that's you know what, Shawn, you know what, when they told me I had 20 years, I almost fainted, man. When they said 20 years, I said, oh, man, no, not 20. So, Shawn, when you were doing the 20 years, what helped you get out? Because a lot of people don't know, sometimes you can get a new charge in prison. So what kept you going that you wanted to get out and not give into the or the negative behaviors that's in prison? Because prison is negative all the way around the board.
Yeah, so, for me, it was years of work. It was years of work. It took me a while before I even came to realization that I wanted to do something worth getting out of prison. Okay. I had at some point in time to come to my environment. Right. I was in a mindset that I was going to be here, and while I'm here, I might as well live my best life, or at least what I thought was my best life at that time as a young kid. Right. So I kind of got caught up in all of the negativity in there too, and I ended up spending 12 years of my incarceration in special housing unit, which is the box. My God, bro. So 12 years out of my 21 years that I did was spent in the special housing unit, 23-hour lockdown. It was in those times that I was able to get into myself though, and I'm thankful that I went through that experience as well. Because one thing that I learned through my experience is that some people need it rough in order to come to the place that they like where they need to be. So being able to go through those experiences is what eventually led me to where I'm at right now, and I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for them, and they were very eye-opening experiences. Sitting there, being confined in a cell and having no choice but to evaluate yourself is an experience like none other.
Now, the shoe is rough, and you did 12 years in the shoe. Yes. You know what, Shawn? You was hard-headed, man. It took the shoe. It took the shoe to get you to start taking a self-evaluation and do some retrospection and some introspection. And in that intro and retrospection, what did you glean out of that?
Well, I realized that, for one, man, time was short. Right. Time was passing me by on a daily basis. And, I felt like I wasn't accomplishing anything. That I was backpedaling. I was actually going backwards and placing myself in a position, a losing position. I'm saying, and it wasn't until because I thought for a lot of years that I loved myself. Right. And it wasn't until I came to the realization that I really couldn't love myself by dragging me through all these different things that I would put myself through that I really started to, work on myself. Well, because at that time I could see that the only person that was destroying me was me. Wow. And at that time, that was when I started to be able to start to work on myself.
Man, you said a mouthful. First thing I like that you said you started loving yourself. And secondly, you said the only person you was hurting was you. Now, when you came to the realization that you finally started loving yourself, what does that entail?
It started to entail that I had to start doing things that were productive for me. The activities that I was involved in, I had to cut back from those activities and change up the activities that I was doing. I had to start hanging around different kind of people. I had to, start thinking differently. All of these things are part of the loving yourself process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before when you place yourself in unhealthy environments and you get unhealthy results due to that, you know, that's all because of the way you think.
Okay.
And the space you place yourself in. So, you know, for me, I started to change up those things, and when I did, man, my life started to change in ways that I didn't even know it could change.
Well, you know what, Shawn? Because when we first started talking, you were callous. You didn't care about anything. Now you're saying, which I understand, that you had to start thinking healthy. How do you know what healthy is if you, I'm not saying you were not taught healthy, but where did the healthy thoughts come from? Did it come from your upbringing?
It's a little bit of that,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of the upbringing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also exposure to different things, you know, throughout my incarceration, especially in the latter years of my incarceration, I started to get exposed to different things.
Okay.
So I was exposed to a program while I was in prison called Exodus.
Okay.
It was like in 2017. I was exposed to the program, and the program changed my whole ideology of how I was looking at life.
Okay. Okay.
And it started to set me on the path that I'm currently on right now.
Okay. So 12 years, 20 years, and you're changing your mindset. Now comes the behavior. How were you able to change the behavior in prison when 99.9% is negative? How?
Yeah. So
yeah.
It comes again to, like I said, like about people, places, and things, right? You know, when you place yourself around positive people, all right. So now, instead of going to the yard 24/7, I was going to the school building,
okay,
or what they call the school building, or whatever. And I would go there and I would participate in programs, Exodus, APP, overcoming criminal thinking, all these different kind of programs that I participated in. These had different kind of people there. People that wasn't thinking about going to the yard fighting and getting involved with drugs and all the negativity that prison had going on, but people that wanted to break away from that mindset, you know, and being around those type of people, it created different kind of conversations, different kind of interactions, and different kind of relationships, different kind of access to different kind of information. Okay. And through that process, it was how I was able to start to change my behavior, you know, through just placing myself in different kind of places.
Okay, you know, now we're going to go back to my Dukes, because in juvie, y'all were clashing. Now that your mind is evolving, how was the relationship with you and my Dukes now? Because I'm quite sure she came to visit.
Well, due to my mother's situation, which she don't know how to drive. She doesn't know how to drive. We really saw each other in the latter years of my incarceration, but it wasn't because she didn't want to be there.
Right.
But my mom was very active in my life. You know, she was always kept the phone on for me. Always made sure I had money, packages, whatever she could do. Right. She would make sure it get done.
Okay. So tell me about the phone conversations, though, Shawn. How were those phone conversations?
The phone conversations were rough. They were rough. It was difficult because even though I was in the process of transforming, you know, I still had a lot of things that I was fighting with myself.
Right.
You know, so even though it still made our conversations very strained.
Okay.
You know, and difficult. And to be honest, we haven't really started to get things together until recent.
Okay.
You know, because and I think that because we both in a better place in our life, and now it's the time for rebuilding.
Okay, so now you Shawn, you said a lot of stuff, man. I got to give it to you, because now you are having turmoil on the inside with the change, and the old man still wanted to. I guess you can say he was like the Incredible Hulk. He still wanted to come out, right?
Yeah, he still wanted to come out. Yeah.
So how do you keep that person, the Incredible Hulk, suppressed, because he's still there?
Yeah,
so how do you keep?
There,
talk to me about that.
Because now I'm more mature. I'm mature enough to realize that my behavior is not only affecting me, but it's affecting other people.
Okay.
You know, and being more aware of how behavior affects people, I think that it helps you to keep some things suppressed. You know, because I feel like we all go through these things. We all go through negative thinking, or go through, you know, thoughts that are necessarily can hurt someone else, but we don't all act on them. So that's the maturity level of not being able to not act on things that you know are wrong. You know, as a kid, you act on these things, you impulsive, you act on things, and you don't care. But as an adult, you should care, and you should understand that your behavior affects other people. And that's what keeps me more grounded now, is that I understand that my behavior is not only affecting me but other people.
Well, let's go back to age 13, man, because you know I remember a lot of things that we talk about. At 13, you didn't. At 13, you didn't care.
No, I didn't care.
You didn't care. And now you realize that what you do affects other people. So it sounds like to me that you care now. But how did you let that wall down to start allowing people to come into your life and you being vulnerable to them?
It was an experience that happened to me like in my latter years of my bed. So one of a young guy that I had been doing time with, he ended up getting a new charge, and I could have easily got a new charge for this incident as well.
Okay.
But I was sent to the special housing unit, but I ended up getting a year in the special housing unit. And through that time right there, it was just like something clicked in my head. A light bulb clicked on, and it was like, yo, you got to get yourself together, man. If you don't get yourself together now, you may never walk out this place ever.
Right.
And it was just like, that was like a hard reality for me to like swallow. So I was determined at that point to start to, change my life around, and whatever I had to do in order to make, the changes that I need to make, I would do them. And what I started to do, I started to, like I say, place myself in a better environment, go to these programs that prison offered, and I started to go to these programs, and I was exposed to some beautiful guys there, man, with beautiful minds that had forever and a day to do in prison, but were more concerned about the impact that it could leave on individuals that work on home. So that right there was motivational to see a man that have 100 and some years in prison and may never walk out of the penitentiary invest so much time and energy into other men to make sure that they don't end up being in the same predicament. And that was impactful for me.
Okay, so everybody, we're on Level Up talking to Shawn Herring. He's sharing his story. We're going to transition from where he came from to where he's at now to let you know that you can change and be something or someone in our community and in your family and in your homes. So, Shawn, you come home 20 years. What happened when you... 21 years.
21 years. Don't forget the one.
I got to get that one. I'm sorry. 21 years. You walk out that gate, man. Tell me how you felt.
Oh, man, I felt like I was walking on edge. I mean, that was like one of the best experiences of my life.
Yes.
I never knew I could feel so good, man. When I walked out that gate, I just knew that it was no turning back from that point, that it was only, taking it to the next level from there.
Right.
I knew that they had released a great individual to the community. I was no longer the kid that I was when I left.
Right.
And it felt good to know that I was finally being given an opportunity to make a difference, to be able to change something, to correct some of the wrongdoings that I had done. It felt great.
Well, Shawn, you said something, because a lot of people stereotype us for doing time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that they gave you an opportunity to show them that the stereotype is wrong, because the media portrays us as being animal or beast type people that we can't change. And I'm so glad that you said that, because we can't believe the hype that everybody's in prison need to be in their meaning that they shouldn't come home and they can't change, because they use this big word called incorrigible. They did that to me when I was in parole. Say you're very incorrigible, which means not subject to reform. I told the parole board I beg to differ. So now that you're home and you're getting this opportunity, man. So you go to your parole officer. What was that like?
Well, I came home. I was released. I went to my parole officer. That was an experience. I mean, it was an experience, like, just to be free and know that I was starting the next chapter of my life.
Right.
And I remember before, when I was younger, I looked at probation like I looked at my parents and anybody else that was talking to me and trying to tell me the right thing. I looked at them as an obstacle. But when I came out here this time, I looked at parole as a platform to be able to help myself. And I've been utilizing parole in every way that I could, try to help me, gain as much success as I could out here.
Well, now, when you came home from juvie, your friends came to see you. What happened when you came home from prison? Did they still come to see you once you got out?
All right, so some did, some didn't. When I came home this time, a lot of guys did come around, and but the one that came around, it seemed like it was a different kind of energy.
Okay.
It wasn't the same as before. A lot of people that I did keep in contact with, they were growing just like me throughout the period of time that I was gone. They went through their own trials and tribulations, and some of them were able to break away from the cycles of the street. Yes. And those were the ones that I kept in touch with the most. Okay. And they were the ones that motivated me and realized that I could be able to do something outside of being in the streets.
Man, listen, I'm so glad that I got you. I was looking forward to having you on the Level Up show, man. And we've been talking off and on. So what are you doing now? Tell the people what you're doing now. Your transition.
Yeah. So right now, I'm working for a company called Industries. I'm a assistant production worker there. I'm looking to elevate myself there. In whatever capacity that I could. Right now I'm also working on a book called Tragic Tales from a Cell.
Okay.
It's a poetry book. I think it'll be very influential, man, very impactful to those that read it. I can't wait to get it out there.
Right.
I'm also going back to school. I'm going back to college. I'm involved with Nyack College.
Okay.
I started dealing with them in a lot of years of my incarceration, and they were also very impactful in my change as well. To be able to be exposed to college, and this is coming from a kid that when he went to prison,
right,
didn't have had an 8th grade education,
right,
never had a high school diploma or GED, none of those things. So going through prison, that was also something that impacted me about my educational journey.
Yes.
My educational journey was very impactful for me. Because when I got my GED, man, that did something to me that I can't even explain. It made me realize that I could do anything that I wanted to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? From that point, I got my paralegal diploma, and then I started working on my college degree. So right now, I'm back in the process of pursuing my degree and trying to, elevate my career, man.
Man, you know what, man? I'm smiling because this is what Level Up is all about. I love stuff like this because what we're putting out here is information that will encourage anyone that's going through anything. It doesn't have to be a physical prison. It can be a psychological prison, emotional prison, a spiritual prison. And you can come out just like we came out, but you have to change your thinking. I like that what you said. So you're working at Ladustry. You know what, man? I don't want to put this on the air, but I need to borrow about a couple dollars, man. Ladustry pay pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, man. And so now here's something else. Now we're talking about coming home, the things that you're doing. But sometimes we talked about stereotyping too, Shawn, because sometimes we can get into relationships where women will stereotype us. How are you able to break that gap and let someone know about your past and not be intimidated? Or how did you feel? Because some women will reject you because you tell them you went to prison. So how did you overcome that?
So the great thing about my relationship that I'm involved in right now is that I knew my girl since I was young. My girl knew me since I was probably like 11 or 12 or something like that. So she already knew my journey and what I was going through. And she has been very supportive since I've been here. And she also is a big part of my transformation out here. How I was able to transform out here and to get a job so quickly. Get a vehicle so quickly, and do all these things that I was doing since I've been home. So she's been a great part of that. The majority of that has been her, and I'm thankful for her.
So hold on, man. Hold on. I'm gonna read some of these comments. If anybody would like to leave a comment or even have questions for Shawn, leave a comment, and I will send them to him to let him know what you're saying. A lot of people say it's great to know, great news to know that you can make it. That's powerful. And then they said, outstanding. They appreciate your testimony. Keep up the good work. But now let's get back to this thing because you said you bought a car. You didn't steal this car?
No, I didn't steal this for this time, man.
Yeah. You know what, Shawn? that's a great thing because now we were talking about the false sense of respect, that the false respect that you thought was respect from your friends. How does it feel now to get true respect from people?
Man, it feels great, man. It feels great.
Yeah.
To be able to hear, your name mentioned in a positive way, where people are like, it's great that you did these positive things, man. It's beautiful. You know what I mean? You want to do more positive things, impact people more in more positive ways.
Okay, so what type of things would you like to get involved in?
Oh, I would definitely like to get involved with the youth.
Okay.
I want to impact the youth as much as I could. So right now, I'm also playing with these ideas, dealing with nonprofit programs and things like that. I want to start up something along the lines of some type of entrepreneur type program that will help kids that are involved in drug activity kind of realize that they can use those same concepts that they use in the streets to do something positive. To be able to put themselves in a position where they own things and they impact not only themselves but the community because Rochester is very poor right now. It could use some building up.
Okay.
If we had youth out here that was more inclined to think towards building it up instead of destroying it, I think that would be very helpful to the community at this very moment. So I want to be some type of influence to that. You know what I'm saying? Of building this economy back up and stopping some of this violence. And that would be great to do in the future.
Well, Shawn, you're already contributing with building up the economy because I say it jokingly, because we're no longer taking from the community. So that builds up the economy. So you're doing good so far. So Shawn, here in closing, because we've been on like for 41 minutes. In closing, what can you tell those parents that are dealing with at-risk youth that are having very antisocial behavior, and those that are dealing with parole or probation, or anyone dealing with any type of prison, not just physical prison, but the mental? What can you tell them? Give them some gleam of hope and encourage them. What would you say?
I would just tell them, man, stick by their child's side, and try to talk to them every chance they can get. Try to learn more about their kids and the activity that they're involved in and why they may be involved in those activities. And try to talk to them and not talk down on them.
Yes.
Because when kids are in negative situations or they feel like the thing that they are doing are right, they are not trying to hear what nobody had to say that are going against those ideologies.
That's right.
So try to understand them and why they may be embracing these ideologies and try to help them break out the cycle or try to get help from somebody else to help them break the cycle before they end up in prison or dead, because those seem to be the two biggest places that a lot of young black men is going in their damn time, prison and the graveyard, so I would tell them, man, just to stick by their child's side, man, no matter what.
Okay. Now, before we go, is there anything else you want to say, Shawn? Because I really enjoyed you, and I want to have you back on again, do a follow-up. But next time you come on, we need to see that young lady with you because she stuck by you, like you said. And now we want to talk about a relationship going through the mountain and coming out on the other side.
I would love that.
Okay.
I would love to bring on and have a relationship conversation. That would be great.
Man, guess what, man? My sister on here. My sister said, awesome information, man. I got to call my baby. Levette, I'm going to call you after it's over. Oops, I said your name. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching Level Up. I'm your host, Wayman Daniels. Oh, you got one more thing to say?
Yeah, I would like to say that too, man. I look forward to working with you as well in the future. Me and you and coming in contact with you have been an experience in itself too. And I look forward to what we can do together to impact the community as well. I think that both of us had the same kind of desires, and I look forward to working with you, man.
Well, we gonna hit those streets, and we gonna take the Bible says take it by force, and we gonna take our streets by force with love. That is because love is the key. But we're gonna take it by some forceful love that our community wants to have. Again, Wayman Daniels, Level Up. Thank you for watching. Our next week's guest is going to be Tim and Deb Smith. They will be talking about facts of Black history. You do not want to miss that show next Saturday at 5 p.m. Again, Level Up. Thank you for watching. We love you, and peace to all. Thank you. Thank you, Shawn.
Yes, man. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Right. So, spot.